Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. That was a fantastic CXO panel that spoke about building the India banks for the next decade. Great job to all the panel members. Now, to move ahead, I have a corporate presentation that will be speaking about RPA, transforming the industrial to personal. And to present this particular session, I have here with me Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, Director Sales, Banking and Financial Services, TCS, for speaking on behalf of Automation Anywhere. Over to you, Mr. Ashish.
Thank you, Jason. And good afternoon, good evening to the audience. And thank you for having me for this August session. And I would kind of present my point of view in a few slides going forward. And I have witnessed the earlier presentations and talks on the RPA. And I think there is something very significant that can come out of what I am going to just now say. But before I really start, I want to share an experience with you. In the city that I stay, Thane, there is a street. There are quite a few banks, and there are bank branches. And I go on that street regularly, and I find that pre-COVID and post-COVID, there is no difference in the way the crowd is there in the branches. So the branches are chock-a-block. They are brimming with humanity, and most importantly, there are people who go in and have a lot of arguments and discussions and disputes with the bankers. Now, I called up some of my banker friends and asked them, "What is this? Why is this happening?" So they said, "Oh, that is because sometimes our passbook printers are not working. Sometimes because the UPI transactions they have not gone through, or they have gone through multiple times, or sometimes there is some challenge. The account has got debited, but the ATM did not give cash." So I asked them, if there is such a level of automation that has happened in the banking industry, why is it that still there is so much of crowding happening at the branches? That is one question. And secondly, and most importantly, the employees in the branches, this front office staff, which is supposed to cater to the customers, which is supposed to delight the customers, is perennially under pressure, is perennially stressed out. And why is it that the automation is not giving its results? And obviously, the answer to that question is because automation, while it has happened in a big way, but it has been mandated by Reserve Bank, it is mandated by a regulator, but it is not something which has happened suo moto all by itself. So that is one probable reason because for which the automation still lags the full potential that it has. So how do we reach the full potential of the robotic process automation is the question that I ask myself. And I think it is very important to start at the fundamentals to understand what this whole paradigm of automation is all about. So I went back to the basics and found that when we talk about RPA, we should talk about small software programs to automate simple and repetitive tasks, and it needs to address underlying applications through presentation layer. So in earlier sessions, we talked about a complete end-to-end process orchestration, and a lot of workflow, etc. But probably the basic definition of RPA when it was actually introduced in the year 2015-16 is it's a simple application to simplify business processes by bridging interstices between core applications. Now, in your bank, you would have a core banking application, enterprise payment hub, HR application, ERP application. Now, these applications are not able to talk to each other in a very meaningful way, although we try and make that happen, but they are on different technology. There are different data formats, but they're not able to talk to each other. And that is where RPA comes for the rescue for specific purposes. It is not a general purpose integration that we're talking about. It's for a specific purpose that we do, and we'll see what those purposes could be. So RPA is essentially a tactical solution which gives strategic results. So if we look at RPA as a complete intergalactic enterprise-wide initiative, then probably we are going away from what it was meant to be. And we also need to understand what else it can do, because it is able to learn, respond, and adapt to situations. Somebody talked about changes, frequent changes, but RPA is supposed to adapt to changes by itself, because the integration is at the presentation layer. It is supposed to have things like process recorders, which can make predictions based on patterns or count simple things, and thereby increase business efficiency, reduce repetitive tasks, improve accuracy, and so on and so forth. So I think we all need to understand, while we have seen what is the definition of robotic process automation, we have to understand what it is not. It is not a monolithic, long-term, expensive IT project, and which you cannot put any return to. It is not a business process management. It is not a workflow system. It works within the interstices of the processes, and it does not require organizational change. It adapts to the organizational change. It adapts to the training requirement that you might have. So we have to really appreciate that it is more user driven. It has to be very democratized and not confined to IT or technology department. So if we look at RPA in that sense, then I think there is a lot of benefits that can be derived without putting so much effort, because it has a multiplication factor. We also talked about the assisted automation, unassisted automation earlier, and these are some use cases which are really in use today. For example, assisted automation is everywhere. Look at the KYC, you look at the OCR, and so on and so forth. There is unassisted automation which just enables processing of structured information with clearly defined rules. So if the rules are clearly defined and that information is structured, very easily you can do unassisted automation, and at a very inexpensive cost, in a very easy manner. And that is because RPA gives good interactive drag and drop developer tools. It does not require a great deal of programming language understanding to be able to do robotic process automation. When you come to autonomous automation, once you have built certain robots which do simple things, you can have a single robot controlling them. So that again is not rocket science. And finally, when we talk about AI, ML, NLP, all of those paradigms which go along with the RPA, we have to understand that those have to add value to the robotic process automation. It cannot be an AI driven automation. It has to be an automation driven AI. So it is very important to put these things in context, because ultimately, when we look at any IT project, we will kind of measure the outcome of the IT project in terms of improved compliance and efficiency, or reduced cost of operations, or somebody was talking about the ROI and so on and so forth. But today, I want to say that RPA is something which will free your workforce to focus on strategic value added work. It will reduce the drudgery and improve speed and accuracy by assisting them by, in some cases, replacing the work that they do. So when we are measuring the outcome of a robotic process automation, what we have to measure is not the return on investment or not the optimization. How much is my workforce freed up because of the robotic process automation that I did? So it is very important, because as we go along, we found that Mr. Srikanth was also talking about the great explosion in the volumes of UPI. For example, on 7th June, just 2 days ago, the UPI went through the roof, and there were about 10 crore transactions in a day of 20,000 crore value that happened through UPI. Or you look at the lending paradigm. In a month, there are about 20 million loan applications that are coming. Now, your employees, your workforce, your staff is not going to be able to grow exponentially, although the volumes are going to grow exponentially. And post-COVID, obviously, there is going to be a what they call it as a revenge spending. So when that happens, it is very critical for all of us to be able to work and be effective with the same or maybe even reduced staff, because the the skilled workforce is going to be less and less available and more and more expensive. So while we talk about different ways of measuring RPA, I think the best measure is to figure out how much is it relieving our own staff of their drudgery and keeping them free for building relations, for selling the products and services that we have, and ultimately, how can we make them happier than what they are today? Because a happy employee ultimately will make a happy customer. So here I have listed some of the generic use cases of RPA. These have been tried and tested, and I need not really go into them, but it can answer queries, OCR, ICR, it can do cascading updates, quite a few things that it can do. And what we need to do is today, since we have done automation 1.0, where, for example, a chatbot is used in a customer situation. Have I used a chatbot in my HR system? Is there a chatbot which is answering, which is actually being leveraged by my employees? Or document management, for example, OCR, ICR. Are my employees able to upload their medical documents using an OCR or ICR? So what we need to do is take some of these use cases and go across our bank, go across our enterprise, and find out whether every function that does document management, is it amenable to do an ICR or OCR? Is it amenable to do a integration, for example? If there are integrations possible, have I used the integration capability of RPA to the full? So it is very critical that we look at RPA as a project, which is, or rather, we should not look at it as a project, but a tactical solution which can help the employees. And these are the automation areas already done by the bank. So it is not like it is an unknown entity. People have done loan fulfillment, wealth management, customer service, so on and so forth. But there are next frontiers waiting for us. There is potential for more. Can I have document intelligence? Can I do local language document? Can I have a RPA which understands local languages, documents which are signed in Marathi or Hindi or any of the local languages, or English, for example? How am I using the photo or signature verification? Am I using it for inward check clearing, or am I just using, still there is a maker checker concept which is prevalent in my branch? So there are conversational applications. Am I able to collate conversations of a single customer on WhatsApp, on the contact center, on his social media, and do a little bit of sentiment analysis and give him what he wants? Or employee processes. I talked about the medical records of your employees. And obviously, are there business rule engines that I am using only for the lending and underwriting, or am I generalizing a centralized business rule engine which can actually be used across my bank for various purposes? So this is the next generation, or automation 2.0, which builds upon automation 1.0. So if we look at it as a large IT 18 months multi-year project, I think we are being a little unfair to the whole paradigm of RPA. Now, I also want to introduce here the whole concept of how do you realize that potential. And it is very important because while the investments that are required are quite low, and you would notice that I have not mentioned the return on investment, which goes right up to 200%, or I have not talked about the smaller size of the RPA initiatives, which can happen in weeks or even perhaps days. But those are actually such significant returns on investment, or such significant short time frames, that that any bank which does it can very easily realize it. But what is important is for us to democratize the whole process of creating bots and using them. And when I say democratize, I mean to say that, are your staff workers, who are the best people to understand what are the processes that they are doing, what is the drudgery, what is the repetitiveness that they are doing? Are they enabled, empowered with technology enough to be able to write a small robot by themselves and put it to use? And maybe one branch user does it in one branch, and then it gets replicated across 5,000 branches of yours. So am I, as IT department, if you are a CIO or a CTO of a bank, am I able to give them a sandbox environment where my users themselves create those robots and they make their own life easy? Because as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. And some very small things, can they be done? For example, one of the bank I know, the employees got together and they said, we will do OCR on circulars. RBI comes up with a lot of circulars, and it's very difficult to access those circulars sitting in a branch where there is a queue of customers standing in front of you, and you want to answer a question: can I open a savings bank account in the name of a trust? Now, if that is a question that one customer comes and asks you, it is very difficult for the branch employee to give an on-the-spot answer, because all the answers are hidden in the RBI circulars, and there are hundreds of them. But am I able to write a small robot, a small software bot, which can do some text mining, and whatever a question is, whenever a question is asked to him in a conversational manner, the robot very easily gives an answer. So that is the kind of productivity gain that we are talking about here. So while the progress of automation can happen from ad hoc task based to a little bit of decisioning, incorporating the machine learning, and so on and so forth, and finally, for institutionalizing the RPA paradigm, there has to be a center of excellence so that centrally it is governed. But there is a parallel track which can be actually built, which can completely democratize and help you institutionalize the RPA in such a way that it becomes a popular activity for your employees to be able to increase their own productivity by writing their own bots. So that is what the whole democratization that we are talking about, the paradigm of democratization. And I think there will be a day when instead of asking the question, what is the ROI, or what is the shortest time frame that you can give me to write a robot, the question that the boards will ask is, how many software robots do you employ? As I said, it is not possible to linearly scale the workforce as the volumes are growing up. We have 30 crore loan applications, loans which are already outstanding in the country, but that is hardly one fourth of the population. And given what Mr. Srikanth was saying, the entire lending activity is set to explode. Now, in that case, definitely there are software robots who will be required and who will need to do repetitive tasks which are going to give drudgery to your staff. And for your staff to really be effective, they will need to be either assisted by these robots, or these robots need to take away some work from them. So the question that will get asked to you in maybe 2 or 3 years time is, how many human employees do you have and how many software robots do you employ? And when that question comes, I think we will be able to say that the RPA is reaching its full potential. And one more point I want to make is that more and more the workforce is becoming millennial. And when I say millennial, I don't mean the age. The TCS CEO once said that there is no legacy people; there are only legacy technologies. So you might have workforce of any age, any vintage, any level of close to retirement that they have, but it is very easy to learn this technology. It is very easy to democratize this RPA technology. It is meant to be a productivity tool. It is not meant to be a complete software project end to end in itself. And if it is utilized properly, it can really do wonders. And I think with that, I will just talk about the business 4.0 paradigm of TCS, where you have abundance here. Where you need to create exponential value for your customers, and automation is one very key pillar for doing it, coupled with cloud and intelligent, and make your bank as an agile bank. So it is very important to harness this business 4.0, to harness the abundance that is out there, and to succeed and to create exponential value and be able to handle exponential volumes, right? So
I'm afraid, Mr.
TCS has
Ashish, we
partnered
have
with.
actually. I'm afraid, Mr. Ashish, we've actually exceeded that time. Maybe I would just request you if you could just quickly wrap up the presentation,
Yes, yes. This is
please.
my last slide.
Please,
So
no
TCS
problem.
has partnered with our partner called Automation Anywhere, and we will be very happy to come and speak with you along with our AA partnership. And one of the things that Automation Anywhere has also done is introduced their personal robot called RE, Automation Anywhere Robotic Interface, which can really help you democratize the entire RPA paradigm within your bank. And with that, I just want to say the last thing, which is TCS has already has put forth this concept of machine-first delivery model, where the first port of call of your either your customer or your employee should be the machine and not the human. And the machine can very well analyze and classify and route the query to the correct person or teams which can get addressed from there. And therefore, if we are to go to machine first delivery model, which will very soon be a reality across various industries, I think RPA is going to be a very, very effective tool when it is given in the hands of the users. If it is put in the hands of centralized IT teams, I don't know how effective it will be. But when it is put in the hands of the users, that's where the real multiplication factor of RPA will come. Thank you.
Very rightly said, Mr. Ashish out there. Well, thank you so much for that presentation. It was indeed a great presentation you had there. However, being said, I'm looking forward to have you once again speaking at our forums in the coming edition. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you for having me and really appreciate the opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I hope all of you had a great day with our esteemed speakers, sharing knowledge and expertise on the diverse topics and connecting with the entire ecosystem of the businesses. and also getting updates on the new and latest products and services from our sponsors and partners throughout the day one of the India Banking Summit 2021. It gives me great pleasure to tell that today we had a record turnaround of 997 live registered delegates who were watching this event live. And I request all of our attendees to please register again, those of you who have not registered, and those who had given out time today to please join in tomorrow. Tomorrow we will start sharp at 9:20 a.m. with the opening note, followed by the first panel discussion session at 9:40 a.m., which talks on digital lending shaping the future of banks. So please do not miss out. Those of you who have still not registered, please register yourself and please join in for tomorrow's sessions for a power-packed day two as well. I take great pleasure to thank all of our honorable speakers, delegates, and partners and sponsors for your support today. With this, we conclude the proceedings of the day one of the India Banking Summit 2021. I will see you all sharp at 9:20 a.m. tomorrow for our day two proceedings. And before we close the day, I would again like to thank all of our sponsors and partners, our presenting partner, NovoPay Banking, our banking AI partner, Co.ai, our category partner, IBM, our fintech partner, Jogata, our AI and robotics process automation partner, Automation Anywhere, our omni-channel communication partner, Carex, our digital transformation partner, Altair, our risk management partner, Rubik's Data Sciences Private Limited, our intelligent automation partner, Botminds.ai, our digital payments partner, Cashfree, and our corporate partners, Rijhara, ACL Mobile Limited, and Quality Kiosk. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, and have a good evening. And I will see you again tomorrow sharp at 9:20 a.m. Thank you. Take care and stay safe.